Welcome to the Mafia Sports Report on the Buffalo FAMbase Network. I'm your host, Tommy, to the highest degree, to the TOP, from the 313. And by my side is my main man, my toucan Sam, the one they call the Apex Man, Mr. Mikey. Happy Monday, brother.
Happy Monday, brother.
I know, man. It's a good Monday. The Bills won Saturday. Even though it's preseason, I still like the dub. Still feels good to get that win regardless. And I had a good weekend. What about your weekend?
My weekend was fantastic. Got to sit down, watch some Bills football. Did a quick rewatch yesterday of the game, and then we won. We saw a lot of positives, but in true McDermott fashion, there's some things to clean up, and I like that.
By the way, there is something I gotta say. I like your new hat.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You see, you thought I was going to be serious there, which it is serious. It is serious because that is a nice hat. Finally. I mean, no offense to your old orangey red hat.
Don't get me wrong. But I did have one on post game as well, a new one.
You did. You have two actually that you will be presenting Bills Mafia with this season.
Yeah, I got the new sideline, the blue sideline hat. I wore that one after the post game, and then I got this one as well.
I like that hat, though. I do. Now, today, Mikey, we have somebody from California, not just you, and his name is Mike as well. You're Mikey. He's Mike, and I'm going to put him on right now. Mike from Nickel City Mafia. What's going on, Mike?
What's up, guys? What's up, Tommy and Mikey? I feel out of place. I feel like I should grab a hat real quick, but
right?
love the hats, man.
It's all good. It's all good.
I wear the hat. I'm completely gray. You can see it in my beard. My hair is the same way.
I'm getting there. So Mike from Nickel City Mafia, it's been very nice to join us. I went on his show yesterday. Had a great time. 2 hours. And it flew by, man. So Mike came on today to come on our show and see what we're all about. And I guess we'll start with Mike. So Mike, same thing you asked me yesterday. How did you become a Bills fan? And tell us about your channel.
All right. Well, I was born and raised in Buffalo. Life has taken me out to California, but not until later in my life. So born and raised in Buffalo. And I can remember back to the early 70s. I always say around 7 years old is when I can remember watching Bills. And that was back in the Joe Ferguson, Bob Chandler days. When I was out on the street playing with my friends, pretending to be a quarterback, it was my man, Joe Ferguson. And Bob Chandler was my favorite receiver at that time. And so, just grew up there. Diehard fan, no matter where I am. And as far as the channel goes, a couple of years ago during COVID, I think around the same time you started, Tommy. I have a couple children that just did nothing but watch YouTube, and I was like, why aren't you guys doing your own channel? I see these young guys out there doing a channel. I'm like, okay, your dad's going to start one. I'm going to show you how to do it. And of course, being a Bills fan, it's just, we started just for the love of it. Just me. I started myself. I realized quickly I can't do it by myself. Kind of a similar situation as you. I found a wonderful co-host, Jake Podger, and we've been doing it for about 2 years now, doing the show. So Nickel City Mafia, all about Buffalo and then some. The then some is, we do have fantasy football. We do have golf. We have a couple guys that talk golf, but we're mostly all about the Bills and Buffalo food. You see us getting conversations a lot about, chicken wings and things like that. But yeah, so thanks for having me, guys. I'm so excited to be joining you guys.
I want to test you real quick. I'm going to test you.
Yeah.
And this is a big test. You fail, I'm going to have to get you off the show right away.
Oh, man.
And this is no joke. This is no joke. Blue cheese or ranch with your wings. And you better answer this correctly. Do not mess up, Mike.
Blue cheese, of course. The guys would shoot me in Buffalo.
Well, the blue cheese in California is not the same.
No, it is not.
Buffalo.
It is not.
So when I was first asked that same question, I was always a rancher. First off, I don't eat a ton of dipping sauces with my wings. I like them just lathered and then eat them. I don't do blue cheese or ranch, but I prefer ranch. I love ranch dressing. It's a California thing. But I've never eaten buffalo blue cheese, and I've been told that
Wow.
it's different.
It is.
Like what you can get in California is basically like bottled blue cheese, and it's not good.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So if I could suggest something, Mikey, the best blue cheese you can get if you're not in Buffalo is you got to get it cold, and you got to go to the produce aisle where they have the glass bottles, not in like the aisles where, you know, craft. You got to go in the glass bottles, get the chunky blue cheese. That's about as close as you're going to get. But no, I can't do ranch, bro. I can't do ranch on anything. I'm not a ranch guy in general, but especially not on wings. That's a no.
I don't do ranch on wings. I like my wings, covered in their sauce. I'm just gonna eat with the sauce.
Disgusting.
I like ranch on my salads.
Oh God. I got you. Hey, to each his own. I can't do the ranch. But all right, real quick too, Mike. Who's your favorite player of all time, Buffalo Bills?
Jim Kelly, Andre Reid, 1-2.
So it's a split.
Yeah, okay. It's Jim 1, and then
Oh, Jim
Andre's,
1. Okay, so Kelly's the man from the U. Mikey, who was yours? I don't remember who yours was. Bruce? Oh, Bruce. Of course, mine's
Bruce.
Mine's Eric
my
Moulds.
my all-time favorite is Bruce.
Yeah.
I mean, I love those 90 guys. But Bruce was just so dominant.
Dude.
And
yes.
Like I love Kelly, I love Thomas, love Reid, love Lofton. My post 90s, it's Eric Moulds. Because the guy was just and he's just one of those special talents that never got the recognition he deserved because he played on crappy teams.
Yeah, dude. Anywhere else, Mikey, he probably would have been a Hall of Famer. I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, with the stats he pulled, with the crap
he might still, he won't be early Hall of Fame, but he may get in late because he still had the numbers. Almost
10,000 yards, 5 yards short. Man, I almost wish he just stayed for one more catch.
You guys know.
Yards. By the way, Bruce is my second. And by the way, I'll say it till I pass away. No one's going to beat that sack record. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. And it's one record. It's one of the records that nobody talks about. Like everyone talks about records, but I think that's one that I feel like people overlook. And it's almost, I just don't see it happening, Mikey. Von's talked about it. JJ Watt's talked about it, but no one's come close, Mikey.
If Micah Parsons can stay healthy,
that's the key.
For the longevity, he has the talent to get there. TJ Watt also, but he gets hurt too often.
Right. There you go. Like his brother. Right.
Yeah. Those are the two guys that I'm looking at today that probably Myles Garrett's been pretty healthy and putting up numbers. If he keeps the longevity, he's got a shot. But I mean, they're still so early in their careers; it's a long ways away.
I just go back to all the guys that said they wanted to do it, and you were talking about Hall of Fame players, by the way, right? And Von Miller, right? JJ Watt, and they're not close, bro. They're not even close.
Von's the closest. Von's the closest.
Yeah, the closest, but she's a lot away. But I just don't see it happening. I don't. Mike, what do you think? You think someone's going to beat that record while we're alive? Now it could change years from now when the rules change. Who knows? But I feel like actually the rules have really helped out that record.
Von's at 123 and a half.
He's a long way away.
And what did Bruce have total?
200.
200.
All right. So there's a little bit of a debate on that because they didn't keep stats on sacks. I forget what the year it was where they started. And Reggie White probably had a few more than was actually tracked because they started capturing that.
He was a beast. Yeah,
after Reggie White. Yeah. Sometime in Reggie White's career, they started capturing that. So I don't know how close it is between him and Reggie. I think it was close.
195 and a half to 200, I think.
All right. So there's where that little bit of a debate is because Reggie may have had more officially if they had started tracking sacks. But to answer your question, Tommy, no. I don't think we'll see it again just because of the injury factor. It's so hard. It's so hard. Now
and
it's an extra game.
It's 198, by the way, for Reggie.
190. I'm sorry. I thought it was 195. Okay. So, and I will say too, players are retiring early now. That's like the thing. They don't want to have that long career. So that also could play a factor into this. And of course, like injuries, man. ACL. Look at Von. 2 already. Look at JJ Watt. He started off hot like his brother, TJ, right?
Yeah.
He was TJ starting out. And then you start piling his injuries. And then eventually your numbers go down. It's just the way it works.
You can also play the devil's advocate to that and say there's more passing in today's NFL than there was back in the day, to where there's a chance that people have more opportunity to.
But there's also different rules that came in place too.
There's also quick games and screens and things that just really weren't back in those. Like honestly, back when Bruce was there, you can smack the lineman upside his head, make him stupid dizzy, and then run by him.
and to speaking of injuries, Bruce Smith only had one major injury, and it was early on in his career, and it's very like that. That's super rare, bro, and especially in a time where it was way more physical and a lot more things going on without flags in football. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyways, let's move on to current football.
Yeah, so let's hit Jessica's comment in here.
Yeah, go ahead. Which one?
It says, so interested if the Bills found a diamond in Ryan Van Denmark.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Ryan Van Denmark actually shows up in our main topic, good, bad, and ugly today.
Yeah.
When Ryan was on the left side, he played with the second team. He was fantastic. He was fantastic. Mm-hmm. When he had to come in after Tommy Doyle got hurt and played right tackle, he was really bad. Right. He's not a right tackle.
No.
And he gave up 3 pressures and a sack.
Right.
So, have they found a diamond? Possibly. You know who the diamond that no one's talking about is Alec Anderson. Alec Anderson is a UDFA that we picked up in the mold of Ryan Bates. He started at tackle, can play guard, and is now a center. He had a really good game this last week with the third team after Mance left, and oh god, Mance was hot garbage.
So bad. He's been bad ever since he came there. Can't stand Mance.
Alec Anderson is someone that we can keep an eye on, because you have to remember Ryan Bates that first year was practice squad.
I agree.
Then we slowly built him up. Alec Anderson is very much that type of player to where, because I think Bates ends up our center when Morris retires, and I think Alex Anderson fills into that Bates role.
I agree with that. By the way, Chris coming in, Torrance played really good. Tommy was always right about him. I think I'm gonna just leave this up for the rest of the podcast because I like
don't make his head any bigger. Don't make his head any bigger than already.
Always right. Tommy, that is so great.
Speaking of Torrance, and Mike, I want to get your take, because me and Tommy talk about Torrance a lot. But Torrance has said he's been very good in the run game, not so good in the pass game. Did you know Torrance had the best pass blocking rating out of anybody last week? What's your thoughts on Torrance going forward, Torrance versus Bates?
All right, so if you've watched our channel, I'm always cautiously. I'm very cautious. I know how the Bills have treated rookies in the past. And I was like, I'm just not going to give it to Torrance. He has to earn it. I was like, everyone's like, including Tommy, let's protect Bates. Let's take him out and just, because of his versatility, let's just keep him off the starting lineup. And I'm like, if I'm Bates, no way am I going to be okay with that. I want to be a starter. But I never said he would never start. I said maybe week 2, week 3. And Tommy had a good point. Why would you do that? If Bates has earned the starting job, why would he lose? Why would he ever lose it unless he got injured? Now, and again, so I did want Torrance to be a starter. After seeing him in this week, Mikey, dude, he had 23 offensive snaps. He was fantastic. I was talking to Tommy about this last night. Whenever he was free, whenever he wasn't on a man, he was consistently looking. Does my tackle need help? Does my center need help? He was doing everything right. I mean, he was fantastic. And if he continues this, guess what? It's only going to make Spencer Brown better. It's going to make everyone around him better. So, I mean, I think it's a lock now, but I think we see it again next week, and it's definitely a lock.
Next week will tell us what we need to know, because I believe Josh is going to start next week, and there's no way that they put their second tier guys in front of Josh. Yep. So if he started next week, I think that pretty much tells you that he's probably going to be the starter. If it's Bates, that tells you that Bates is probably going to be the starter going in. The positive thing about this is he played against, Buckner and Shaq Leonard and that first team Colts defense, who is really good. Like, the Colts were bad last year, but it wasn't the defense's fault. The offense just couldn't do anything.
Right.
So, and he stood Buckner up one-on-one. He had some help. I loved what he did he did the chip and got up to the second level like you want. Like, our run game looked better with McGovern and Torrance into those guard spots.
Even when he got beat, there was a play he got beat. He got back in on the play, recovered well. And that's what he did in college. Like, it's funny. Like, people are like, oh, it's pass block. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's pass blocking. He gave up 0 sacks in college. Like, he's a good pass blocker too. Like, don't overlook that part of his game. Like, he is a solid offensive lineman. He seems to learn quick. He caught on to the system quick. All through camp, I've got nothing but great responses from Osiris Torrance, and they started him for a reason. And I didn't see anything really negative in his play. I saw a couple holds that weren't called, but offensive line do that all the time. Go back and look at any offensive lineman. They get away with a lot of that. If you do it the right way, they won't call it. And he did it the right way.
Yeah, he did, because he had his arms in. He didn't have them out. He had them here. And if you have them here, they don't normally call it. It's when you go wide and they see you, or they try to pull away and you grab and you see the jersey tug. There was none of that. Once he got his mitts on you, and the defensive line was talking about this during camp. They said once he gets his hands on you, it's hard to get away from him. Which is awesome.
You want to answer that?
What dates do cuts start? It's right after preseason 3. It's a one cut date now.
Yeah, they changed the rules, I guess. I didn't even know that.
Yep, they changed the rules last year, and then they decided to keep it. So you may see some veterans, if we're going to cut them, released a little bit early. We did that last year too, to give them a chance to catch on to teams. But everyone just has to be, I think it's the third, the second or the third. Everyone has to be down to their 53 by. But it's just it usually happens over a 2-day period that they do all their cuts.
Right. All right. So the good and the bad and the ugly. Unless anybody else wants something to say before.
Let's look in the chat.
I don't know if I missed anything.
Yeah, so Chris comes in and says Dorian Williams really stood out to me on Saturday. Dorian Williams did stand out. Dorian Williams was flying around and hitting people. It makes me a little sad that, because our middle linebacker, we don't have a middle linebacker on this team. I'm sorry. Dodson looked lost.
Yeah,
I wish we could have Dorian Williams in the middle there, but they don't want to put him there yet. So, I was impressed. I could see us, if we ever do run a 3 linebacker set, getting Dorian Williams on the field as one of the 3 outside linebackers.
Yeah, 100%. I talked to Mike about that on yesterday's podcast. He was asking about Dorian Williams, who looked like one of the better linebackers out there Saturday. If you could get a chance to shot at middle linebacker, and I told him, man, if you don't see him Saturday, Saturday will be the day. Yeah, like if he's not a middle linebacker, then he's not going to be a middle linebacker this season. It's too bad, Mikey. I'll be honest with you. I really wish they would give the kid the opportunity to show, to see what he can do at middle linebacker. I just don't. I think they're sold on him being outside linebacker for now. That doesn't mean they can't change their mind, but I just think we have a problem. I think we have a problem at middle linebacker, and I'll go with what I said early on in the offseason, where I think it's going to be linebacker by committee, because I don't think any of these guys right now are stepping up. And with the injury to Bernard, Spector's still kind of raw a little bit. I could see like one of these things where it's like Dotson 1 week, then Bernard 1 week, then Spector possibly the other week, just depending on who we're playing. Or getting pulled because Dotson's just not doing his job. I saw at one point McDermott was talking to Dotson on a sideline, and that clearly was something probably not good, saying, hey, you need to do this better or whatever, if I had to guess, because he just was not. He was out of position a lot.
Yeah, it was on that. It was on that play action. He got sucked up every time they did play action. He got sucked up, and they went over the middle on him.
Yeah, what's your thoughts, Mike?
That was one of the biggest things that Tremaine Edmonds was great at, was closing the middle down.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
We talked a little bit about this last night, Tommy, but I want to throw it to Mikey. And I know my co-host, Jake Podger, he's a big fan of Dorian. We both are. And he still believes Dorian gets that middle linebacker spot. If it's not now, it's like week 4 or whatever. But based on what you saw yesterday, let me ask you this, Mikey. I mean, why? I know one of the big things is they don't want to give him the mic. Well, the mic linebacker is typically the middle linebacker,
Mm-hmm.
but it could be the best linebacker. And you have Matt Milano. Why couldn't Matt Milano be the mic? Right? He's not the middle linebacker, but he can be calling the plays. He can be the captain there and give Dorian a chance. He was obviously the best linebacker on the field yesterday. Now, don't get me wrong. He was playing later in the game, right? I don't think
Mm-hmm.
did we see him in the first half at all? I don't recall if we saw him in the first half.
I think he came in with the second team.
But he did have 31 snaps, and he looked fantastic. And when he tackles, he wraps you up. You're not getting away. So that was pretty impressive there. But what's your thoughts on that? I mean, why not give him a shot?
So here's what I've heard from multiple different beat writers. I think it was Joe Marino said it. I think Matt Perino and Ryan Talbot have talked about it, and Sal's talked about it, and a few others. Matt Milano moving to a mic is a very, the mic is the guy who calls the plays, who's has to be, super, do all the communication. Matt Milano is not a very outgoing person. He doesn't say a whole lot. It doesn't fit his personality. So there's this feeling in the building, if they ask him to do too much, it's going to change the player he is. Because then he's going to be in his head thinking about all the calls and the checks rather than just reacting. So are you willing to take Matt Milano at the all-pro Matt Milano, stick him at Mike linebacker, make him do all these things that's outside his comfort zone, and get a lesser version of him, and then to stick Dorian Williams in the game? It's one of those things of, I trust if McDermott and Bean don't move Milano there, it's for a reason. Here's my take on that. Why does it have to be the Mike? Why can't you let Jordan Poyer or Micah Hyde, who are very outspoken, call the plays? And really, I think Jordan Poyer would be the ideal guy, because he's the one who gets them all fired up and comes down in the box, so he can still, relay those calls to the defensive lineman, because he's moving, up and back all the time. So does it have to be the Mike? No, and McDermott has said so. But taking the Milano and putting him into the Mike linebacker is just taking a all pro and putting him in a very uncomfortable position that doesn't fit his personality. And I think that's part of it. Like, Tremaine Edmonds had to learn how to be outgoing. Matt Milano's 28 already. Do you really want him to learn this new skill set and take away from what he already is?
Yeah, that's a fair point. And actually, we did mention that too. I think I was asking, it wasn't Tommy, but maybe Jake. I'm like, why can't they have a Poyer? I mean, I don't know. Can you remember the last time? Are you aware of any team that had a non-linebacker be that guy calling the plays? I can't think of it.
Ed Reid.
Ed Reid, did he?
Yeah, Ray called him when he was in the game, but when Ray wasn't in the game, Ed Reid called them.
Nice. Okay, there you go.
I believe Troy Polamalu also called him. But you're talking about Hall of Famers. I mean, guys who have the IQ that are just crazy. But normally it's the middle linebacker.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that. He's an all-pro. Talking doesn't dictate how you play. Okay. And then
I will say, though, in a way, I kind of agree with Sean, Red, White, and Bills, by the way. Shout out to him. Go to his YouTube, get some good content out there. In a way, I kind of agree with him in a way. I think Milano's been in the system long enough. I understand what you're coming from, Mikey, but if given the keys to that, to be the Mike, I think he can do it. But will McDermott feel comfortable enough to give him that? That is the real question. And I would say no at this point, but I don't know how comfortable I am with Tyrell Dodson at this point. So this goes back to what your point is. Poyer and Hyde, who've been here the longest, since 2017. They know the defense. They know McDermott. I would trust them. Cool, and yeah, I would be good, especially if they're not set on that middle linebacker position. And if they're not comfortable with Milano being the Mike, then why not have Poyer or Hyde be that? And listen, guys, once again, though, look for player cuts off other teams, because I'm just not feeling the middle linebacker. Now, things could change. We still have 2 more preseasons to go. Dotson could step up his game. And Bernard could come back from injury, and who knows what we see, right? Maybe we'll see Bernard step up, but right now, not good. I gotta say, not good. Not happy with that. But yeah, that's where I stand with that.
And just to bounce that off of that, it's like asking a color commentator to be a play-by-play guy. It's two different skill sets. Sean comes in and says, from his playing days, it's relaying 5 words. It's not 5 words in the NFL. There's also checks and calls and all kinds of weird stuff that the Mike linebacker is responsible for. It's not just if you were just calling a play and that was the end of it, that's fine. But there's a lot of different things that the Mike has to do that he's responsible for that maybe Milano just doesn't fit into his personality type. That goes a lot in the positions. It's so it's just, again, my opinion, and I've heard other people talk about it. I don't know. Could it be? Sure. I mean, would I prefer Milano to have it versus a Dotson? Hell yes.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
But, I would prefer a Poyer to have it than Dotson. I don't want to see Dotson on the field.
Yeah, I don't either. Real quick, too, before we move on, couple NFL updates today. One, the first news that broke today was Ezekiel Elliott signs with the Patriots, which is not like anything like wow about. I think that's a good pickup for the Patriots, though. I'm not going to hate on that move. He's still a guy that can pick up some short yardage. He still has a little game in him. He's not obviously the Elliott he once was, but I don't think it's a bad pickup. I don't know I don't know what the contract details was, but I don't think that's a horrible signing. Then Dalvin Cook to the Jets. He got paid $8.5 million for 1 year, and I think that tells you everything you need to know about Hall. And I don't think he'll be back week 1. I think here is a perfect example of why you rest. Give your guy an opportunity or give him some rest to work his way slowly back after an ACL surgery like that, and they'll probably have him back week 5, week 6. But if they pick Cook up, it's going to be interesting. They're going to have a two-headed monster there, Mikey, or is it going to be the Cook show? Because listen. If Cook's taking over week 1 through, let's say, 6, and Cook's doing good, whoa, right? What do you do there? You know what I mean?
Here, I want to throw this to Mike.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to get his take on this.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook is signing in preseason game 2 and has to learn a whole new offense that he's never played in.
Yeah, 100%.
What's your take on how is it truly going to look? I mean, when you're paying $8.5 million, and if Breece Hall truly isn't ready week 1, will they put in standard plays? Yes. But you have to remember that Jets offense, everyone's crowning them already. And then they point at Tom Brady. Is Tom Brady's, look at Tom Brady. He won the Super Bowl in his first year. Everyone forgets Tom Brady's team was 500 at the midpoint. It wasn't until halfway through the season that they got on the same page, and then they went on a run. So they didn't come out of the gate swinging. The Jets have a rough 6-game start. They have to come out hot.
Yeah. And I don't think their offensive line is anything like the Patriots' offensive line.
No.
They're
or the Bucs' offensive line.
Yeah, they're just not. So, they're okay. They're average at best.
So my question to Mike is, when you're looking at this, do you see Dalvin Cook as that thing that's going to put them over the top?
Yeah, I do. I actually do. I mean,
okay.
I do because, last year, I mean, what was knocking him up until last year? Always injured. Last year, he played all 17 games, started all 17 games. He's a game changer. They may not have the best offensive line, but this is a guy that can take it to the house at any moment. He did it against us last year.
Yep.
So I do like the ad because of, with Breece Hall coming back from the ACL. I think only Adrian Peterson as a running back ever came back and was really effective that first year, immediately, actually. So I do think it's enough. It's definitely a boost for sure, and it's a security blanket because we don't know when Breece Hall is going to be back. And I look, Cook, he's a game changer, and in my opinion, like a Barry Sanders. He's not Barry Sanders, don't get me wrong, but Barry was that guy who had a terrible offensive line. But long enough, you wait long enough, you give him the ball long enough, boom, game changer, takes it to the house, and you're back in the game. So to answer your question, Tommy, quickly, I think he is enough to get them. I mean, they're all in this year. And what a great ad.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts him at all. Like in my opinion, he's a perfect pickup for now. He's a 1-year deal. I don't think they're looking at him long term at all. I think this is just a fill in for the season to help out while Hall recovers, and it's actually in case Hall's not Hall. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Maybe Hall comes back. He's not what he was. I mean, ACLs work differently for everybody else. How you respond, how you come back. So, this is a good. I think this is a smart move for that reason. That's the biggest reason. Now, if Hall was healthy, ready to go, no problem, no ACL last year, I don't get the move at all. But I understand the reason why they took the flyer on this.
So let me ask you this: would Dalvin Cook be more of a weapon with the Jets or with the Dolphins? Where do you think he has the bigger impact?
I think the Dolphins. I think if the Dolphins gave him an offer, which I heard they did. Now I don't know the amount, but I heard he did get an offer. I think he would have been better in Miami, in my opinion, with that team. I think he would have probably been there longer. I think they probably would have gave him probably a longer contract, in my opinion, because they don't really have a run game. And you would have had no reason to worry about, splitting carries with anyone. He would have been the guy there in Miami. And with their passing attack in Miami, I think he would have been a perfect addition over there. But he's not there. But I think Miami would have been a better option, in my opinion.
What do you think?
So in Miami, if they had, so we have a Dolphin person that does that we're good friends with, and he said, the Dolphins ran the ball really well last year, but they just don't do it. They don't want to do it. Similar to Buffalo, they want to throw that ball to their star receivers, and so I don't know if he'd get utilized enough. Whereas here on the Jets, I think he will. I think he'll get utilized a little bit more. They don't have as good of offensive line on the Jets for sure, like I just said earlier. But to answer your question, Mikey, in my opinion, it's the Jets where he'll be more impactful.
Oh, you think Jets will be more impactful?
I do. I do. Because like I said, the Dolphins, I don't think they would utilize them enough. They want to throw that ball.
Yeah,
you don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to want to throw the ball?
Well, he will, and especially with his weapons. But I think, if you got Cook in there, you're gonna take the pressure off him a little bit many times. So yeah, he'll throw the ball, but I'm gonna stick with that. I think Cook will have more impact on the Jets.
Okay, cool.
And guess what?
Yeah, I mean the Jets.
Cook
they did run. Yeah, and the Jets did run last year. They did rely on the run. Now, mind you, Zach Wilson, of course,
and
quarterback at the time.
It was Flacco,
and Mike White,
right?
Yeah.
Wilson, so.
But traditionally, I mean, if you go back to their offense, they do run the ball. I don't think they'll avoid the run or go pass heavy because Aaron Rodgers. But I don't know. I still think the Dolphins would have been a better fit. But Red, White, and Bill's saying they only offered him 2 years, $8 million. See, I didn't know the contract details, but if that's true, and he took 8.5 for one, money talks, right? So I get it.
And my take is good for Cook to get his bag. That's more than any other running back signed for this offseason.
Yeah. Right now, running backs aren't getting paid, so yeah.
I like what Chuckles says. Chuckles comes and says we're overthinking the middle linebacker position for a player that's only going to play about 35 to 40% of the snaps. With Raps and Dorian on the roster, he thinks you're going to see more dime looks, or they're gonna phase Dorian in more and not really have a true Mike, but have to just And then that comes back to who's calling the plays if because the issue with Dorian is they said he comes from a very simplistic college defense, and what we have is very detailed. So he's never played in a defense like we have before. So it's why they didn't want to put him at the mic. They want him to learn the defense before they give him a chance to take over the Mike linebacker.
Yeah, I agree with that. But judging off preseason week 1, what he showcased was the ability to tackle well, and which he did in college. And he was on almost every play he was involved with. He hits hard. He seems like a smart dude. If I'm McDermott, I see what he did week 1. I am giving him the opportunity, and me personally, to play middle linebacker for week 2, see what he can do out there. Who cares if he doesn't do good? He makes mistakes.
Well,
It's not a big deal. I don't think you're going to
give the green dot to Poyer or
That's what I'm saying.
And then put those two linebackers on the field. And neither one of them have to call the plays.
I agree.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't understand the thing with Bernard either. I honestly think Williams is a better fit, but it is what it is. I'm not a coach. I'm not there at camp.
Well,
I don't know.
It's the difference between the CB2 position as well. They like what they know.
Yeah, I agree.
They're comfortable with what they're aware of. That's why you see Levi Wallace and Dane Jackson at CB2 rather than the higher upside of Benford or Elam.
Yeah. I agree with that. But you did you made a great point though, Mikey, a couple of days ago when you did mention, and I mentioned on Mike's show on Nickel City the other day, that maybe Dane got a little bit too much heat last year. He did take CB1 role because we're looking at the CB2. We're like, Dane Jackson, but he had to go against the best of the best last year while Trey was recovering, and he did it for 10 weeks. And it wasn't perfect. It wasn't great. I don't think it was terrible either. And we're talking about CB2 now. So maybe he can hold his spot down on CB2. Maybe we're overlooking that role for him.
I think everyone wants Elam to take the job because he was a first round pick and he has a higher athletic upside. And I understand that. I want Elam to start. But I don't think we're in trouble if Dane starts by any means.
I agree.
Exactly my point. Yeah, Mike, I'm sorry I cut you off earlier. You're going to say something. Yes, Mike.
Just a closing thought on Dalvin Cook, and then I have a follow up with the CB2s if we're going there already.
Yeah.
So Cook last year, and by the way, he had 56 targets, 39 catches last year. So Cook can catch the ball. And what did Aaron Rodgers do a lot last year? They threw a lot of screens. A lot of screens. So that'd be a great weapon out of the backfield is just dump it off to Cook and let him get into space and do his thing. So that's just a closing thought there. That's why I still think he'll be better with the Jets than he would with the Dolphins.
That's where he scares me the most. Running the ball, he is a home run hitter. And he'll do some things and he'll break some runs. Yeah. That offensive line is not going to open up a ton of holes for him. He's going to have to do a lot of it himself. He's capable of it. However, you get him out in the passing game is where it's crazy because you have to remember, Aaron Rodgers had Aaron Jones, who's a good back, who's a really good back, but he's not Dalvin Cook. Right. He's not, he doesn't have that same upside that Dalvin has. And, now he has that as a weapon on top of, really, I think he has about the same amount of weapons he had in Green Bay because I think, Garrett Wilson is kind of that alpha receiver, and then he has his other guys, and then he has a really good running back or two. Where the Jets are lacking is in the offensive line. He's always had a really good offensive line in front of him. He doesn't now, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I agree with your take in the pass game. Yeah. He's scary there.
Yeah, and then the follow-up on the CB2 that you guys were talking about, do you think, Mikey, that, because somebody mentioned on our show a couple weeks ago, could they do a rotational thing there? I mean, based on who they're playing.
What about who they're playing? I'm sorry, I missed that.
He was paying too much attention to love that I'm receiving tonight.
It's hurting me in my heart. People are loving Tommy tonight.
Thank you. I love you guys too.
So what was the question? I'm sorry.
So I was saying somebody on our show a couple weeks ago said at cornerback 2, maybe it's a rotational thing. Maybe depending on who you're going up against. I mean, it was pretty telling. Dane Jackson played 6 snaps. The other 2 guys played over 35 snaps, each of them. So it's pretty telling that I feel like Dane will be that day one starter. But could it be a rotational thing? Because depending on who you're playing.
I think it will be a rotation.
Chuckle said that too. Oh my!
I do believe we will have a rotation because it's not the first time that we've done this.
Did it last year?
We did it last year. We did it a couple years back. Remember when we had Levi Wallace and Kevin Johnson? We were rotating them because Kevin was the former first round pick with the super athletic talent who's better man to man than Levi was.
Yep.
And then when we had Levi Wallace and Josh Norman, we rotated those guys the next year. So it's CB2 tends to be rotated a lot. Now I think we're going to rotate all 3 of them, and I think in certain games where we run more man-to-man, you'll see more Benford and Elam. To where when you see more zone, you're going to see more Dane and Benford. You won't see as much Elam. I think both the young guys got more reps the last week over Dane. Not so much because Dane's so much farther ahead. I do think he is ahead, but because they want to get those two young guys more reps in the defense. And McDermott came out and said as much during his presser. So
yeah,
I'll be interested to see how it plays out this week. If Dane's out there for all of the first team, because I imagine this is going to be our dress game. If he's out there for all of the first team and then he comes out and then the other two go in, then I'm gonna, I'll chalk it up to Dane's gonna be the starter and they'll just randomly rotate those guys in.
By the way, Mikey, chat loves you too. Okay.
Oh, I know. I just don't like it when they give you love. It hurts my heart.
I understand. I understand. Man.
I don't like when Tommy's right.
Yeah.
Especially on the whole Osiris Torrance, because I was in the camp.
Oh my God, he was so.
It wasn't that I didn't like Torrance. I thought he was fantastic. I thought he was the best guard, but he does not fit the mold of what the Bills like, the archetype. And when they drafted him, I was stunned.
Me and Mikey would do these in the offseason. Sorry, guys, I've been drinking a little bit, so I'm having a little good time tonight. But me and Mikey's would do these pre-draft, these mock drafts, right? And I would pick Osiris Torrance was always my pick.
Nuts.
Round one, pick Osiris Torrance. And everyone's like, oh, no, terrible. And Mikey was like, right tackle, go on this guy. I don't forget the guy. And I'm like, and he's like, no way, Torrance, no way, be the guy because he doesn't fit the system. There's no way. And I said, bro, I'm telling you, this guy's better than you think. And he'll fit the system. You'll learn the system, and you'll love him. And
did I not say he was the top guard?
No, you did. You did, but you just thought that he just wasn't going to fit the system.
I didn't think he would. Well, I should have realized that when we picked Elam, who was not.
That's true. That is true.
The archetype for what they like to do. I should have realized Bean stopped doing the archetype thing, when he takes the talent in the first round. So,
great point by Red, White, and Bills. Torrance does fit Cromer's type. That is accurate, and a lot of people, once again, like I think overlook Cromer. Like I kind of feel like they don't really understand how good this dude is as an offensive line head coach. Multiple awards. I think he won offensive line coach of the year in New Orleans at one time. He was excellent when he was here in the past. And I just felt like last year he didn't really get to work with some of these players like a Spencer Brown who was recovering from back surgery. He didn't really get to choose some of these guys that were already on the team. I felt like this offseason was the first time that Cromer really actually got to get with Bean and go, hey, I like this guy McGovern. I like Osiris Torrance. I can work with these guys.
Bring in Edwards.
Edwards, a guy that I coached before. I know I can get Spencer Brown on track to how I want him to play. And it's kind of showing. It showed week one for all those guys also, or not guys, but Bills Mafia who are doubting what Spencer Brown could do. He showed you week one, at least right now, that he improved. And I feel like he did. I felt like he did a good job while he was out there. I even feel like another guy that was getting knocked, Shell, did a great job too, who was out there. So this is credit to Cromer. Once again, a guy that can get these guys playing, up to par. And also, he's going to get these guys, guys like Ryan Bates, even better at center when that time comes. You know what I mean? So, man, I love that Cromer's here as our offensive line coach because I couldn't stand Bobby Johnson. Go ahead.
So let's talk about Shell. Shell is one was better against the run this week than he was against the pass. He struggled a little bit against the pass. He did.
But I will say real quick, Mikey, Torrance did help him out there at times, and they didn't get home on Shell because of that. And that's shout out to obviously Torrance for helping out, but I didn't think it was that bad either though. But I
gave up a pressure and a hurry.
He did.
He did. And a hurry.
He did.
And they're not going to be perfect. They're the second team for a reason. Yeah,
exactly.
Second team for a reason. And it also, I think when Shell was out there, he had Kyle Allen, not Josh. If Josh is out there, he probably
Totally
doesn't
different
get a
story.
pressure. It's a different story.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm with you on that.
Okay, cool. Mike, what'd you think real quick and we're going to get into this good, bad, and ugly, but what'd you think about, just real quick, about Shell? Now that we're on Shell, just curious, what did you feel about his game? Because he was getting a lot of slack for in the training camp. A lot of people were saying
he's getting used.
He wasn't. Yeah, he did. But we also got to remember, we have a really good defensive line. Like, people also forget about that. But what did you feel about Shell's performance week 1?
So, I mean, I didn't catch. I mean, I watched the game closely. I didn't see a lot of it, and I didn't check the stats on him. But I will say this: I know he played for the Dolphins last year,
He did.
and the Dolphins fan again that we does some shows with us was not a fan, but he's so having him as a backup. I'm okay with that. What I saw in the game, I didn't see it, so I can't give you an honest opinion there, Tommy. And maybe Mikey, how many snaps did he even have, Mikey? Do you know?
17.
17, coach, decent amount.
Yeah.
And he came in probably later in the game. So it was the second half.
He
late
came
first quarter, I think.
Yeah, because he took over for Spencer Brown.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Right tackle.
Okay, so if he came in after Spencer, because Brown was only there for 6 snaps, then if I didn't see much, Mikey, then I feel like he did a pretty good job.
He did, he did. All I was saying is he was a better run blocker than pass blocker. So he did struggle in the pass blocking game.
Yeah, that's true.
Granted, it was Kyle Allen back there throwing the ball, and he looked kind of lost at times. Yeah. So it wasn't a crisp, operation. He would probably look better if Josh was throwing the ball. But at the end of the day, for a backup, I think he was the better looking backup of our, like he looked better at right tackle than whatever his last name is, I forgot, Van Markt or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Looked fantastic at left tackle, but looked lost at right tackle.
And that happens. Some guys are better at left or right naturally. I mean, not everyone can switch around like a Ryan Bates, but I agree with you there. Do you want to get in this good, bad, and ugly?
Yeah, so let's get into the good, bad, and ugly. So we'll start with the good. And we'll start right off the top. The first and second team O-line. There was a lot of concern coming out of camp the last week about how our defensive line was just kicking our offensive line's butts. And we told everyone to pump the brakes. Let's see what that looks like. Is it that we have a really good defensive line and that's why they're looking so bad? Or is it that our offensive line is still struggling? Well, we played against the starting team against the Colts. So DeForest Buckner was out there, Shaq Leonard, all their stars were out there, and our first and second O-line held their own.
Yeah.
They looked fantastic in the run game, especially our first team O-line. They were moving people, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So first and second O-line units, third, that they kind of fit into the bad category. And we'll get into that.
Yep.
The second good, our secondary, the return of our all pros. So we had White, Poyer, and Hyde on the field for the first time since Thanksgiving 2021. And Dane Jackson was the one who made the play of the 3. That's what you want. Saran Neal starting was fantastic coming off the edge blitzing.
Yeah,
looked good in coverage. So our secondary looked fantastic. Like really across the board, our secondary was really good because Kyer got called for a PI. Austin got called for a PI. Benford got called for a PI, and Neal got called for a PI. But really, outside of that, like they were pretty locked down. They did a really good job in coverage. The only time that they hit big plays is when our defensive line couldn't get there and gave them enough time to because you can't cover for 6 seconds. You just can't.
Right.
So, our defensive line rotation, like our first and second team defensive line rotation, is legit, dude.
Yeah, very legit.
We didn't even have Daquan Jones out there, who's probably one of our best run defenders. So there was times that we saw them get run on, and that was because we had to settle in Oliver, getting out of their gaps.
Yeah.
So you saw him hit up the middle on us. You have Daquan out there. I don't think Oliver and Settle is a good pairing, anyways. I think Oliver and Puna would have been a better pairing.
Yep.
And then I think Settle as a 3-tech is better than Settle as a 1-tech, personally. But that's just me. And then my last good, Dorsey and McDermott. their operation was really good this week. I liked what Dorsey was doing. He moved people around, got the run game going. It was still very, very plain Jane. Didn't do too much crazy stuff, but like from an operational standpoint, not a lot of we had no delay of games.
Yeah,
It was
it's a great point, Mike.
it was a very clean
I didn't even
operation.
think about the delay of game, Mikey.
We had no
Actually,
delay of games.
great point.
Two offensive penalties.
Yeah, I felt like we got to the line quick.
Mhm.
We got the calls in quick. Now, mind you, they're vanilla calls, so they're gonna probably come in a little quicker. But I
Mhm.
still felt like we got to the line quicker in case there was any audibles. Plenty of time in the clock. So yeah, penalties are killers, man. Right.
Yep.
So I agree with you there. I love the fact that got the play in. And they got to the line quick in case they needed to change play. They had plenty of time. I agree with you there. Definitely.
Yeah, Scott. The run defense was not sharp. The run defense is part of my bad, and we'll get to that. But yeah, then McDermott was flawless from a defensive side. We didn't see any crazy miscommunications. We had one on special teams that drove him crazy. But other than that, they were pretty sharp. Those two. I was happy to see it. So moving over to the bad. We had our third team O-line. Bacher, Mance, and Vandermark at right tackle. They gave up a ton of pressures. Like they were not real good this week. They were not.
Yeah, I agree. Bacher is. I told you, Mikey. Told you from the off season. I think he's the one.
He's still getting back to.
I get it. But with the depth that we have now, that's the problem. Can he make the practice squad? Sure, and he probably will. But I think he's for sure a guy that's on the bubble. You could kind of see he's a little behind, right? Maybe that's probably rust because considering that he hasn't played in a couple seasons. But I just think he's a little bit behind right now. Mike, what do you think about that about Bacher?
Oh, I said it on our show when we did our 53-man active roster. I don't think he makes it. I do think he's on the practice squad, and I'm not sure that anyone would take a chance based on his injuries. I mean, he's coming off torn ACL, Achilles. Right. So he's had that a couple times now, and based on his injury, I don't think anyone's going to be rushing to grab him. Maybe,
right?
Maybe Dable would be the only guy, but I don't think so. So I think he's safe to go to the practice squad. I don't see him making the 53-man.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be interested to see what it looks like next week. But then the bad, our first team defense missed tackles. Groot and Dodson. Groot had the quarterback in his sights and missed him. Missed tackles. Milano missed one. Dodson missed one. You got a tackle. Missed tackles has been Achilles heel of the Bills for years.
Yeah. No excuse there. Listen, I get Richardson's a bigger quarterback. He's like a Josh Allen. Tough guy to take down, but Groot is a big dude. He's not like,
just took the bad angle.
Jerry Hughes, he's a smaller guy. It's bad angle, but he had him. He had him in sight. He had him wrapped up. He should have took him down. He didn't. Once again, though, it's preseason. I'm not going to kill him for that, but this is a lesson learned, and hopefully he, doesn't let that happen again because that's a killer, right? A guy that should have been sacked behind, should have lost yards, gain yards. Can't have that. But yeah, I agree with you. And Dotson as well. Missed tackles. Cannot have that. I can't stand missed tackles. And also Milano, who's so weird to me because Milano's so damn good, Mikey. But sometimes
he's notorious for missing tackles.
Yes, he'll have he'll read the play, and I'll be like, damn, I'm like, yo, Milano got it. You know what I mean? Milano read that fucking beautiful, and he'll miss the fucking tackle. Yeah. And I'll go, oh, we had it. He was there. He read it. You know what I mean? If he makes a tackle, everyone's going, damn, fucking Milano read it, and the tackle, lost the yards, whatever. But sometimes he gets in that way where he just doesn't make it. Doesn't make the tackle.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's frustrating.
Going back to the good, Best said the ending 4-minute drill was great. It was excellent execution.
It really was.
It was excellent execution from both Dorsey and McDermott on their game strategy. I thought
that's how you end a game.
Yep.
100%.
And they didn't just go run. he threw the ball when they were expecting run and got us a first down. It was awesome.
Right.
It was awesome. Okay, and then my third bad is from the special teams, missed PAT. Can't have that. Get it out of your system.
Get it out of the way now, man. Yeah, I agree.
And then,
Get it out of the way.
I thought outside of Drayton Evans' long return to set up that last 4-minute drill, I thought the return game was just kind of
meh.
So I put it down as a bad. Like our coverage units were great, but our return game was just
nothing. Yeah, nothing. I agree with that.
You know?
I thought Andy, once again, I'll go back and say I watched Andy Isabella with the very short, minimal footage that's out there because he doesn't have a lot. I didn't think he was spectacular in the return game. I'll be honest with you. In Arizona, I didn't see anything.
4 for 38.
I didn't see anything exciting, like electric from him. Hardy, I did. Go back, watch Hardy's film. Go back, watch Isabella. Now, I will say, and we'll get to that later, Isabella receiving, totally different story.
Really good.
A return game, not so good. I didn't think it was terrible. I just thought it was nothing spectacular there. He didn't do anything for us.
Yeah. All right, and then to the ugly. We'll start turnovers.
Oh, the ugly.
We had 2 turnovers.
Oh.
Can't have it. 2 turnovers. We had a fumble and interception.
Yep.
Got to hold on to the ball. The second one drops. Still continue to play.
Story of the Bills.
So we had 4 drops. 2 by Shavers. 1 that turned into an interception. 1 by
For a touchdown.
For a
touchdown.
Right. Then we had a 3rd down drop by Shakir and a 3rd down drop by Morris, which cost us in the drives.
I agree.
Can't have that.
Yeah, you can't. And Morris's drop, tough. Listen, I'll be honest. Tough catch. Still, you're an NFL player. He was there. Should have made the catch. But out the other ones, Shakir, unacceptable. Right there, wide open, 3rd down. You gotta make the play, and he did it last year.
Morris has to make that catch.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, but the other 2, way easier catches.
Yeah.
Right in your hands. It wasn't like on the ground where guys, falling on you at the same time. Like Shakir, no excuse there. Zero excuse.
Yes, Scott. Got to catch the damn ball.
Shavers too. Yeah, Shavers too. Yep. Listen, it wasn't the prettiest throw, but no excuse. That is right there, dude. You got him. Yeah, you gotta catch that ball. I don't think it was the greatest throw either, but you gotta make that catch regardless. And yeah, listen, the story of the Buffalo Bills the last 2-3 seasons, we're one of the worst in the league at drop percentage, and that has to change. Can't have that.
Yeah, and Sarah comes in and says, Morris was a tough for a tight end, but Morris is a wide receiver, converting to tight end. He should have caught that. Where Kyle put that was in between 2 defenders on the backside. It's where you have to put that so it doesn't get intercepted. He had it in his arms and dropped it. You have to catch that.
There you got it. Because there's going to be, not every catch is easy.
Yeah. If you want to be on this team and be a part of this offense, those are the catches you have to make. That's the difference between extending drives and being off the field.
So real quick, Scott, I'm not going to say that now.
I will.
I got it. I'm not, and I
haven't seen Isabella drop the ball.
Okay, I get that, but I get it. But it's preseason 1, okay, and 2, McKenzie was here a long time, and he did a lot of good things. And Isabella,
but
Isabella,
from time, he's not.
No, I get it, but Isabella hasn't done anything for this team in the regular season. McKenzie's had, whether you like him or not, McKenzie did have some good games here in Buffalo. Isabella has done nothing. So I'm not going to say that right now. That my mind could change if Isabella makes the team 1, which I don't think he is. You get what I'm saying? But I'm just saying you can't judge a guy 1 preseason game over a guy who was here, one of the longest receivers, tenured receiver in Buffalo. I'm just saying. I'm not saying he was perfect, but he did a lot of good things, Mikey.
Let me clarify. I'm not saying he's a better player. I'm saying he's a better returner. Isabella is a better returner than Isaiah McKenzie.
Yes, returner, but
returner. No, not a better player, better returner.
Okay, he just said better. He didn't say returner here. So I'm saying.
I imagine, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, we were talking about Isabella's returning when he posted that.
Okay, I'm just saying. I'm just reading what it says. I'm just going by with that. Mike, what do you feel about McKenzie, real quick?
Yeah.
In that,
So first of all, I kind of agree with you, Tommy. I'm not sure Isabella makes the team. I know he had the 3 catches, and I don't think he makes the 53-man roster. As far as McKenzie, you're right. There was a reason McKenzie got benched a couple games a couple years ago for his muffs on kickoffs and punts, and then we had to actually go to Micah Hyde, which is something you don't want to have Micah Hyde back there, but that's the only guy we could trust. So from a return game, sure, Isabella, but for a complete player all around, I wouldn't say that. I'd give McKenzie the edge.
Yeah, he had some good games here. Like there was going back even in that Dolphin game, that first week we played Dolphins in Miami. He had a good game. Like he wasn't terrible. Like I mean, even the Patriots game, he showed up when we needed.
Huge in that.
Yeah,
one.
so I'm not gonna knock what McKenzie did in Buffalo. I will agree with Mikey though. His return game, it was weird with him because he could take it to the house, but he could also fumble the ball. Right?
Or
Really
just drop it in the snow.
Right.
And Scott clarified he was talking about it from a return.
Okay.
So
then I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah. So like when I said he's better than McKenzie, I don't want to crap on McKenzie. I loved him.
Okay. Cool.
I
agree with that. I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that. As of, now, mind you, though, I haven't seen a lot of Isabella either, though. Return. I really haven't.
I have.
Okay.
I watch it on the West Coast. I watch a lot of Cardinals games.
That's true. You're right.
He's actually a very good returner. He's sure-handed.
Then that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Like Andre Roberts, late in his career, I will say this for him: it's too bad we got him kind of late in his career, because I felt like early in his career, Andre Roberts had that speed to take it to the house. Later in his career, he was just a safe bet. Like you trusted Andre Roberts to fair catch it when he needed. You knew he was going to catch it. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like I was confident when Roberts was back there, but I also knew he wasn't going to take it to the house. Like I knew that at the end of his career. But
it's where we're going to miss Naeem Hines the most.
Yes,
in the game.
I agree.
And someone said that in here, and I love this comment from Sarah. You're not the only one. I wanted to choke him after.
I was so mad.
Like no one touched him. He just dropped the ball.
I couldn't believe that. But that game was just a nightmare game.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
And then my last ugly. It doesn't have to do with Kyle Allen. It doesn't have to do with Kyer Elam's grabby hands. He got called for one penalty. He also played a very solid game after that one penalty. It's penalties, man. Penalties. We had 2 on offense, which was very good. Yeah. And then we had a bunch on defense. Groot, Oliver, and Brighton all had offside penalties. And Oliver's, he was like 12 yards in the backfield when they snapped the damn ball. Oh, what the hell he was doing.
He does that, though. He did that last year. He jumps the gun quick sometimes. He's trying to beat the snap count or whatever. He's trying to, get it right on the snap, but you got to be careful with that.
And then Elam Benford, Neal, and Alex Austin all had PIs. Penalties, man, kill you. Can't have it.
I agree.
3 sets of downs, and
I agree. I hate them.
But those are my good, bad, and uglies for week 1.
Nice, man. Come on, guys. Give it up to Mikey with the good, bad, and ugly.
Nice job, sir.
We're going to do that. By the way, we will do that every week from moving forward on every game, because I like that segment.
Yeah,
that segment. Because there's always, listen, hopefully there's no ugly ever. Right? Yeah. But more likely.
I'm like McDermott. I want there to be a bunch of really good, us win, and I still have stuff in the bad and ugly that we have to clean up.
Something we got to go back to the film and look. Got to look at the film. Got to look at that film.
Yep. But yeah, so this year's first setup, I thought it was a very well played game. It's everything McDermott wants. We won. We played pretty sound, but we still have things we have to clean up. Yeah, Robert was super consistent. And that's what Naeem Hines is the same way. I think Hines, he's so consistent returning the ball. He has such good hands, and he's a guy who can break it at any moment.
But I will say this. Let's just talk, because I know we're avoiding that. Hardy is an all-pro returner as well. We haven't seen much of Hardy because there's only week 1. He could be that guy. He can. I believe he can, because his record shows that, right? He was an all-pro returner. with New Orleans. He's super fast. He's reliable. Let's give him a little bit more opportunities first. And it's not even
He only had
opportunities.
one. Yeah, he only had one.
Right, exactly. Which, by the way, I give him credit for that because that was a 59-yard punt in the wind. He had to go back for it. Didn't muff it. Barely got tackle. It was like a shoestring kind of tackle.
Going
So
up the sidelines, he gets around that.
yeah. So who knows if he doesn't? If that guy doesn't barely hit his foot, we don't know what that turns into. So I'm excited to see what he can do in the return game because what he's shown in the past, the dude can be electric and take it to the house. So Hardy's probably going to be that guy. I'm going to be real with you guys. I just see it as that. I don't think Isabella makes the team for kick return, but I will say Isabella is intriguing at receiver, and I want to ask Mike first. Mike, what did you think about Isabella at receiver, not kick return, as receiver? What did you see there?
I mean, he caught three targets, 3 catches for like 21 yards. I mean, it was solid. But we had a few guys. We had a few other receivers really show up. Keyshawn Johnson, I thought looked really good. There was a couple guys that really. I was joking with you. Yeah, I was joking with Tommy last night. I'm like, can we keep 8 wide receivers? Can we find a way? Because I love big, physical, fast guys. You got Shavers, who had kind of an up and down game.
Right.
But you got Keyshawn Johnson. I mean, there's a couple others. Like you said, it was Aitman. And then who was the guy from the Colts? Yeah, he had a very good game. So there's a lot of good talent in the wide receivers. And there's no way Isabella's making the team just because of what he did with 3 catches for 21 yards.
And it's 42 yards.
Is it 40? Okay.
Keyshawn Johnson was 3 for 42.
Yeah.
Isabella was 3 for 42. And most of his 42 were actually yak yards, which is awesome.
Yeah, yards after catch. Yep.
Marshall Aitman was 2 for 41. Tyrell Shavers was 2 for 38 and a touchdown. Desmond Patman was 3 for 35 and a touchdown. Shakir was 2 for 25. So really it was nice to see, going into the offseason, one of Tommy's biggest areas of weakness was he wasn't sure what the wide receiver room looked like. He was concerned after that, first 5, if someone gets hurt, what's going to happen? I'll tell you, I have a feeling that, you're going to see a Shavers on the practice squad. You're going to see either Patman, Aitman, or Johnson on the practice squad, to where one of those guys is coming up if someone gets hurt, because we now have depth in that room to where we can use it.
Yeah, I was super. Listen, I had a question mark, and it wasn't so much a concern. It was more of a, can these guys, other than Diggs and Davis, the rest of the team, can they step up? Like, can Khalil Shakir have a bounce back second year? Can he have or we have go through a slump? A lot of guys do that, right? From a rookie year to the second year. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they hit a little wall there. And that was obviously a concern or a check mark. Then you got, help me out, Mikey. The guy from Miami. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank here.
Trent Sherfield.
Trent Sherfield. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. Drinking too much. Trent Sherfield, who I absolutely love. And I've been telling y'all, I think Trent Sherfield is going to be a very good player for this team. And that's why they signed him, in my opinion. They saw what he did with Miami. He was finally given an opportunity in Miami that he wasn't given in San Francisco. And I felt like he blossomed in Miami with a very good receiving corps in Miami. And he still got almost 500 yards. And everything I saw in camp with him and Josh building that chemistry early told me a lot. But I still wanted to see it on the field. Now, mind you, he didn't do much week 1, but he had a nice block. I like that. And I like I said, we'll see week 2 when he's with Josh how he is, because I think you'll see a different Trent Sherfield get more opportunity. So I had a question mark to him. Can he continue where he left off with Miami? And then you got guys like, Justin Shorter. Can he make this team? What can he do? And I got to say, him being in early with minimum snap count tells me this dude's making the team. They see something in him. He wasn't running with the 3s and 4s. He was running with the 1s and 2s early. And it's interesting. That is very interesting to me. Now, mind you, Diggs was out, so they had to put somebody in, but it's still interesting enough where they put him ahead of a lot of other people. And Though, once again, a guy that didn't get many opportunities, I still feel like they see something in him. And I really want to see if he's in there with Allen. Very curious if they put him in with Allen early before Allen gets out and see what he can do. Because I think next week against Pittsburgh, I think you're going to see the opposite, Mikey. I think you're going to see passing early rather than running early to kind of get Josh that rust off. And Josh is going to want to throw. He's not going to want to play that run game early on. He's going to, you know how Josh is, right? He's going to want to get that arm loose. And this is what all this is about. So very interesting. And also Dalton Kincaid, once again, a guy you saw on the field, didn't get much action. I feel like this next week too, you're going to see a lot of action from him. So right now, I got to say that question mark went away from everything from training camp and this first week of preseason. I'm excited to see what this group can do, man. I really am, because I feel like, and to Mike's point, I feel like we have gotten bigger and taller at receiver. One thing that we didn't have for a long time here in Buffalo was a bigger receiver, and we have a lot of them now on this team.
Nope, I don't disagree. We'll be interested to see how they play out. Also, to help your argument for Sherfield, having Davis, Diggs, Kincaid, and Knox, you're talking about he's option 5. You know,
right.
You can do a hell of a lot worse for option 5 than a Trent Sherfield.
Yeah, and I didn't even bring up Hardy either in the slot.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's going to happen, but I think Hardy is going to be a part of this offense, and that's one thing Hardy is better at than McKenzie is. He's actually an over the top receiver, and I don't think McKenzie ever could have that. Did that here in Buffalo, and that's one thing Hardy can bring to this team, and that helps out this offense, because now you bring Gabe Davis different role, right? He can run different routes other than just go deep all the time, and that's why I'm excited for Gabe Davis's too. I think Gabe Davis is going to have a bounce back year. I think he's going to. I really truly believe this is the year he marks 1,000 yards, man. What do you think, Mike, on Gabe Davis? By the way, what do you think about? Gabe?
Absolutely. I thought Gabe would have that breakout last year, like most of us thought. And, he was a little dinged up. He had a little ankle injury. I don't know how long that affected him most of the year. But this year, he just needs a little bit of an uptick. He had a little over 50% completion percentage to him, catch percentage. And if he has a little uptick, which I think he will, everything in camp has been he's looked fantastic. And as long as he stays injury free, which he's had an issue with, I see big things for that young man this year. And I believe it's a contract year for him, is it not?
It is. And let's be real too, Mike. I gotta say, I'm just, from everything I've heard and people that have attended camp, between him and Kincaid, they have been the stars of camp. They have been the most electric as far as offensively. And Diggs obviously is doing his thing. Diggs, no shot. This isn't slate on Diggs. I'm so used to Diggs being Diggs. Yeah. But from everything I've heard, Davis and Kincaid have been pretty much unstoppable. They've done what they had to do. They've been, fast, unguardable at times. Mikey, what do you feel about Davis going into this season? From what you've seen so far?
I've been really hard on Davis. I was hard on him last year.
Yep.
Listened to a lot of offseason stuff. That ankle played a bigger role. I may have felt differently, that he shouldn't have let that linger, but it is what it is. He's a professional athlete. I'm setting my butt in a chair talking about it on the internet. Right. So great point. At the end of the day, he probably knows better than I do. But if he can become 80% of what he was in that playoff game, we're going to have a super solid number 2, and we should resign him. I think personally, I think we should resign him before the season, because if we wait till after the season, we're not going to be able to. Because I have a feeling he's going to have a really big year. Josh, Sarah's in here saying that she's tired of these Josh narratives. I'll tell you, that dude watches everything. Josh talks about it. He watches everything. You don't think that's going to put that chip back on his shoulder? All these people talking about how, all these people are better than him. Josh is going to come out. He's going to have a monster year. And Davis and Diggs and Kincaid. And I would not want to be the team standing in front of Buffalo. I have a feeling we're going to be a freight train this year.
Yeah.
I agree. Add fuel to that fire, man. These guys love it, man. Players may not admit it, but they read it. They understand it. They know. Even from listen, man. It's even worse when it's coming from your own fan base. And trust me, man. They know. They're on Twitter. They won't admit it to you. But you don't think Gabe Davis has heard all the negative comments? You don't think Josh Allen's heard the criticism? All these guys, man. And it just adds fuel to the fire. And I think, listen, I will say I respect the hell out of Gabe Davis for coming out in the offseason, admitting that last year mentally, after that injury, he just wasn't right. That's it. And I respect anybody that is honest about that, because he could have just said, "Oh man, my ankle wasn't all right here, and it was only physical, and I just wasn't." Like, he was straight up said, "Hey, mentally, I just wasn't in a good place after that," and it happens, man. Ankle injuries suck, man. Like in any injury sucks. So I respect that out of him. I still think he didn't have as bad a year as many people thought. 850 for his first time at second receiver was not that bad, guys. It really isn't. Yeah. And I feel like he could bounce back this year if he could stay healthy, like Mike said. He can be a 1,000-yard receiver. And I agree with Mikey. I think that the Bills need to figure a way to extend this guy somewhere during the season, get it over with, because he's going to be probably a pricey player when the offseason.
I want to hit on something you just said, and then I'll pass it over.
Yeah.
Get Mike's thoughts on it. You talked about Davis and the 850 yards.
Yeah.
This is why stats can lie to you sometimes.
I agree. Yep.
Because Davis had a 200-yard game.
No, I understand.
Was a fourth of his season yards in one game.
I agree.
He had big games, and then he had disappeared games. So it was very inconsistent. So when you look at the season as a whole and you look at his stats, you said, oh, he had, 62 catches and he had 800 yards and, 8 touchdowns. You're like, oh, that's a solid, it's a solid season for a number 2. But then you go back and you look at his game logs, and, he had, 4 drops in one game and, 1 catch for 17 yards, but then he had a 5 catch for 200 yards and 3 touch. I need to see that consistently. I don't need him to be the 200-yard guy all the time, but I need to see him be 4 catches, 70 yards week in and week out, and be a consistent contributor. And at that point, that's when I'll give him. So when we talk about, goods and bads, that's how you can craft any stat to a narrative that you want to play out.
I agree with that. I do. And I also have to understand that last year there was a couple factors that maybe, obviously the drop percentage, not good. That, no doubt, I can't even argue that. You got to fix that, right? You have to get your drop percentage better than that. But I will say how they used Gabe Davis last year. Look what he did. A majority of his passes were deep, right? Which are harder to catch, harder plays to make. And I felt like, it's a little tougher on him being that guy. And I felt like, going into, and also the injury. I feel like if you look at week 1 or week 2 before he got hurt, I felt like he was doing the right things. After that, it was kind of like Davis deep all the time, and that's it. And I kind of feel like this year he's going to take a different role as far as running a route tree goes, not just a deep threat. And that's going to help his game overall, I think, because he's a better. Listen, we've seen Gabe Davis make some unbelievable catches in big moments throughout his career. And I feel Gabe Davis can be that guy. I just felt like last year was a little bit riding on him, maybe a little pressure too, being that second guy.
Also, his offensive coordinator didn't put him in advantageous positions.
That's what I'm saying.
With the route tree that he was asked to run. He wasn't asked to run the. He never got any of the short passes.
That's my point.
Exactly.
So with our new offense, we've seen him be in practices running more of a full route tree. So, Mike,
that's my point.
Your take on this wide receiver room. Are you happy with it? Or do you want us to see us continue to watch out on who's going to be wide receiver 6?
Was that to me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm extremely happy with the wide receiver room.
Okay.
Like I was saying, because I'd love to keep 8. I was joking about that, but there's a lot of depth that we're gonna. Someone mentioned it earlier in the chat about possibly losing another Isaiah Hodgins, and yeah, that's gonna happen. We got some very good youngsters, then somebody's gonna has to go. I did
I
want to
can't
say
keep
this.
them all.
I totally agree with you guys what you said about Gabe as far as the routes that he was running. The passes thrown his way were lower percentages, right?
Mhm.
The chance of completing those were much lower,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and that angle might have hindered the routes he could run, possibly. So I think this year is just again, just I expect he was a fantasy footballer's worst nightmare. Nobody knew
Yes.
they didn't want to sit him because they knew he could have a big game like the
But
13
man, he
second game.
lost so many people games.
Oh my
He
goodness.
lost so many people games last year.
I know, man.
I kept telling people you
Tommy
gotta
knows
draft
he
this
had
guy.
him.
I
So
had him
we did a
up and
fantasy
down.
show.
You never know when
Yeah,
it sucked. I benched him 1 week. Great
yeah,
game.
yeah,
Start him because he had a great game. Terrible game.
Yeah.
yeah. But something, not only all that we said, something about a contract year, just there's a switch that flips. I mean, you see it
100%.
over and over. He's playing. I mean, not that he wasn't always playing hard. Like you said, he had some. He really has. He struggled with the injury last year, but man, he's playing. Not only does he want to win a Super Bowl, but he wants to continue and get a good payday, and he should get a good payday if he shows up this year. So I think I always say that. I always look when I draft fantasy football. Give me a guy that's on a contract year. They always seem to show up.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
not from a dynasty standpoint, but on a redraft league, I'm 100% with you. On a fantasy perspective, I never want the guy who just got paid
Right.
because you never sure what
Right.
you're going to get from him,
Right.
or So
Right.
I want the guy who's going into a contract year, which is great. Or from a dynasty perspective, I want that guy, second year guy that you're expecting to blow up that no one's looking at. So, but anyways,
Mikey,
that's a whole nother thing.
can I ask you
I
a
agree.
follow-up question on your ugly?
Sure.
Okay. So my only ugly were the drops. And I want to talk about a specific player who I love, who I've been saying, why are people sleeping on him? And if he keeps doing this, I can see why people are going to sleep on him, and that's Khalil. Now, Khalil coming out of college, the knock on him was that he could make these acrobatic catches, which we've seen. He can do that. All through college, he did it. But the knock on him was that he'd lose concentration.
Mhm.
And like we saw in this game, and it's not the first time we've seen it with him. Even through camp, I've been hearing some of these things. And I think in the red and blue scrimmage, I think I saw him return or he had a punt return that he muffed. So I'm
did.
concerned there. And I mean, I love this kid. He's 6 feet. People think he's smaller. He's not. He's a 6-foot wide receiver. He worked with Tommy's favorite guy, your guy's favorite player in the offseason, Eric Moles. And so he's doing all that he needs to do. But it scares me that he's having these consistent drops.
So I haven't seen all the drops. The difference was, and the 2 catches that he made fantastic catches were hand catches. The one he dropped, he let get in on his body. And and where the position of the ball was and where his hands are, it's hard to make a hands catch in that position. So I don't want to make excuses for the guy because I'm also concerned. But if you go back and look, Dawson Knox had the same problem his first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they found a way to correct a lot of that. So I'm going to put my faith in the coaching staff that they're going to be able to figure out how to work around that and get him over that. But I don't have any, like, that drop was just unfathomable. Like, how do you drop that? It hit him in the stomach. Like,
Yeah.
nobody around him. It was the easiest catch you're ever going to have. And he just,
Yeah.
and it goes back to like Gabe Davis, the way he catches the ball. He alligator arms it, and it works for him. Great. Shakir's the same way. When he's running out and he can't get his hands out in front, he has to turn. It seems to bounce off of him. Because he's a couple of the games last year when he dropped the ball, it was like that too. They never hit his hands and bounced off. It's always the ones that he's trying to catch when it's going into his body. That just I don't know.
Something he needs to keep working on, right? And I will say too, but going back on Gabe Davis, nobody works harder, in my opinion, in the offseason than Gabe Davis. That dude hustles. That dude is grinding. Like I will say that he is always on point with his conditioning, and you got to respect that. And same with Shakir. Shakir didn't, once again, a player that goes out doesn't have to. It's his off season, doesn't have to do anything. He can just chill out and go in LA, wherever he wants to go. But he chooses to get with Eric Molds, work on his craft, and I respect that. And let's just hope that he can correct whatever mistake he's making. Get on the jug machine, gloves, whatever you got to do, mentally, whatever it's going on there, and just work on your craft, man. And hopefully he can find his way, because that sucks. That's the only part. And last year he did the same thing. I remember 2 occasions. One against the Dolphins, I believe it was a playoff game where he had a catch, dropped it. And I think they went to replay. They initially called it a catch, and he dropped it. And there was another play earlier in the season, regular season, wide open, and he dropped a pass from Josh Allen. And it really kind of reminded me of the Kyle Allen pass, because it was, I think, to the sideline again, one of those passes, and he just such an easy grab, and he just I don't know if he's thinking about running before he's catching the ball. I have no idea, but not good. He needs to correct that, figure out what's going on mentally, why he's dropping it, because I think it's more of a mental thing. I don't think it's he's doing something wrong, because why would you? He's making the unbelievable great catches, right?
The hard catches.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the catch where he made on the sideline. Got a guy draped on him. I almost thought it was intercepted. I mean, because the guy was right there.
How was that not pass interference, by the way?
I don't know. I agree with you there.
How did they not throw a flag on that?
I felt like he was draped on him way early. But either way, draped on him, still made the catch, and still had the new to turn and run for extra yards. So if you can make those, but not make the wide open, there's something going on, man. I think it's more, hey, like something's going on in his mind. Maybe he's thinking about running before catching. I don't know, but he has to correct that. But other than that, if he corrects that, he's a hell of a player. I think he can be a hell of a player in this league.
I think he will be. I think you're going to see him take incremental steps this year, and then he'll have a bigger role in 2024. Like he'll be part of the offense, but I have a feeling you're going to see a bigger role for him come 2024. But that's just my take.
100%.
So real quick, let's talk before we get out of here. Let's talk about backup quarterback, because that has been the topic of conversation even today on Twitter. I don't know if you guys know him, but Hansel, good guy, like him, always tweets out stuff. He tweeted out something like, basically it doesn't matter who you have as backup. If Allen goes down, we're screwed, like in a couple of games. And I don't agree with that necessarily. And I'll tell you why. Because because he listed a handful of backup quarterbacks in the NFL right now. There is a lot of good backup quarterbacks, in my opinion. And he had a whole handful. I'm not going to go through them all right now. But let's say, hypothetically, 4 games out. You want your quarterback traditionally getting at least 2 out of 4, right? And he said, oh, we probably win 1 out of 4. I will say this. That one extra game could mean a playoff berth. I'm just throwing that out there. And I know it sounds cliche, like, oh, it's only 2 games compared to 1. But it could be 3. I'm just saying, depending on your backup, I don't trust Kyle Allen or Matt Barkley to win us more than 1 game out of 4 games if we needed that. And hopefully we don't need that. But I'm just saying right now our backup quarterback situation is bad. I don't care how great Matt Barkley looked yesterday, because I know Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley's not a newbie here. He's been here a while. Matt Barkley's been in the NFL a long time. I know what to expect from Matt Barkley. He looked good yesterday, but he also played against 3s and 4s. Got to be real here. Now, if this is a competition, I want to see Matt Barkley next week against the 1s and 2s when Josh goes out. Let's see what he has there to offer. And if he beats out Kyle Allen, he does. I just think Kyle Allen is not good. I think it's bad enough if this is an open competition for QB2. If Kyle Allen and Matt Barkley are battling out for QB2, I got to be real with you, because last year, even with Keenum, for as bad as Keenum was, Keenum won that job easily. There was no discussion, and now there's a discussion on who's going to be QB2. That's a problem, I think, in my opinion. Now, Mikey, I don't know what you think on this, but I don't like it. I really don't.
I'll let Mike go, and then I'll follow.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so we kind of talked about this last night. I'm kind of with you, Tommy. Let's be real. If Josh was down for 4 games, do we really trust these guys to win 2? I don't. Although I will say our offensive line is much better this year. I mean, we thought that they were much better last year, but they're much better this year. I think they could come up with a game plan, much safer game plan, and trust that run a little bit. But let's be honest, I think we're going to have to look. I'm keeping close eye, like we talked about last night, on preseason cuts. There are some guys, the person in the chat, Sam Darnold, you mentioned him last night as well. And, you know, you see this all the time during the regular season when, if a quarterback goes out for a year, they usually reach out and they don't necessarily go with their backup. They look for somebody longer term that can fill, you know, because if Josh is out for the year, we're done. We're done with these guys that we have.
I agree with that. Forget about.
Yeah. But for 4 games, I think I don't trust the guys we currently have. I don't think it's a controversy because, like you said, I think, you know, Barkley played in the second half, Allen in the first. You know, he had a pick six, but obviously that wasn't Allen's fault.
No, it wasn't. And I agree with that.
They both make the same amount of money. You know, you would usually think our backup, our second guy, makes a little bit more, but they're both a little over $1 million. They both are a little hit to the cap if we were to cut them. But I'm with you on maybe just keeping a close eye. There's going to be some cuts. There's going to be a veteran. And let's pick somebody up if it's there.
I want to go over this list, Mikey, before you talk. So these are the backup quarterbacks projected in 2023, and I probably put about half of these guys I would take all day over what we got right now. And you can argue this, and I understand. Andy Dalton, yes, I know he's been in the league a long time, but he's also was a starter. I still think he could be a reliable backup. I would trust him. I said Hoyer. No, I didn't even mention Hoyer. I'm sorry. Davis Mills. I think it would be a quality backup. Drew Lock will be a quality backup. Gardner Minshew, 100% a quality backup. Even Jameis Winston. Yes, he's a turnover machine, but I would trust him more than what we got, in my opinion. Marcus Mariota, yes. Mike White, yes. Mitch Trubisky, yes. Sam Darnold, yes. PJ Walker, I would take over both of our guys. Taylor Heineke, yes, I would take him over. And Tyrod Taylor, maybe. That's a lot of guys. It's a handful of guys, Mikey. What do you think there?
I think you guys are living in a fantasy world that we can afford any of these guys. So let's go through it. I'm just saying you want better quarterbacks.
Yeah, go ahead.
You get what you pay for.
I agree with that. I'm not arguing with that.
$6 million cap hit this year. Mitch Trubisky, $7.5 million cap hit this year.
Okay.
Andy Dalton, $5 million cap hit this year. Mike White, let me finish pulling him up.
Yeah, he got paid, I think.
Mike White, $5.2 million cap hit this year. We're paying our guys like league minimum. We don't have the cash for that type. When you're looking at it, you're not getting and Tyler Heineke and those guys are even more money because they were supposed to be battling for the starting jobs. You know, I'd love a Davis Mills who's on a rookie contract. There's a reason why they won't get rid of him. I would love a Drew Lock who's on a rookie contract. You know, if we're going to get a quarterback of that caliber, it's going to have to be done in the draft. We don't have the funds to get a mid-tier backup quarterback.
I agree with you in a sense, but that's not always how it goes. We can get lucky, and I get it. Getting lucky is getting lucky, right? Trubisky signed cheap when we got him last year. Or I'm sorry, the year before. Added $2 million, which was a great backup, and obviously didn't stick around because he got more, and I understand that. But there's going to be players cut, in my opinion. Quarterbacks cut, veterans cut. I don't think all these guys are going to make a team, a veteran out there. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know who, and none of us do. But I still think Bean will probably look around because, listen, he did this when he got rid of A.J. McCarron, right? When A.J. McCarron was signed, he traded him. And I don't think that was what he was going for when he got A.J. McCarron. Now, mind you, still didn't get any good backup, but he wound up finding Barkley later on. I believe that was, 2019 is when he got Barkley on the squad. So there's going to be a guy out there, too, I would feel comfortable with probably. Now, I don't know who yet. And if there isn't any, then it is what it is. I'm still not comfortable with the situation we're in. I'm just throwing that out there.
I will tell you, you also have to remember whatever quarterback's coming in here doesn't know the system and has to learn the system.
I agree with that too. But
And everything you're hearing from McDermott and Dorsey and even Barkley talked about it in his presser after the game about Kyle Allen. Barkley's been here for 5 years. He knows the system, so it's a lot easier for him. This system isn't an easy thing to pick up. Hence, we brought in Anani Hines last year and he couldn't figure out the playbook.
Right, I agree with that. But I will
talking about
say,
picking up one of these free agents who have never run our offense, and you're just going to supplant the guys who have been here for months, 4 years.
Okay, that's if one. Let's mark back up. That's if he has to play week whenever, right? You don't know if Allen goes down what week, if he does ever. One, by that time, you would hope your backup would learn the system on week 8, week 5, week 7, whatever the case may be. I'm just throwing that out there by now, right? Because there's been plenty of backups that go to a team midway during a season because they have no choice to pick up this guy, and he does okay. Not every quarterback takes a while to adjust to a team. That's one. Two, Kyle Allen, and I understand what Barkley's saying, a lot of that stuff yesterday was on him. Had nothing to do with the system. He wasn't going through his reads right. He was a little antsy on his feet. He threw some terrible passes in coverage when he shouldn't have. That's not, I don't think, play calling. That's more him getting a little antsy back there in the pocket and making poor decisions. Now, I will say there were some bright spots for Kyle Allen. I thought he came on a little bit towards the second quarter. I thought he made some good throws. I think he has a way better arm than Barkley, in my opinion. I think he can get out of the pocket way better. So there's good and bad with Kyle Allen.
Okay. So I want to go back to what you said about bringing a guy and not needing him to play week 1. Are you going to carry 3 quarterbacks? Because then you're losing somebody else off the roster.
I would cut
Kyle Allen and bring in a guy who doesn't know our system.
Absolutely.
Josh Allen.
Because you still have absolutely.
That's a huge no.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why. Absolutely, because
I'll
tell you why.
Brother.
No, absolutely. I'll tell you why. Because you still got Matt Barkley on the team, and
Matt Barkley's not on the team.
You could have Matt Barkley on the team. You don't cut Matt Barkley.
Oh, you're going to carry 3 quarterbacks?
I believe you can. I believe you can for the beginning. I think you put Barkley on the practice squad. No one's picking up Barkley.
Okay.
And I think you can eventually have that quarterback come from.
I want to touch that. You said put Barkley on the practice squad.
Yeah.
If he's on the practice squad and you have a backup who doesn't know your playbook as the backup on game day, Barkley can't be that guy.
I understand. Yeah, I get that. But that happens a lot. But listen, that happens a lot in the NFL, Mikey.
Being McDermott, never going to happen, brother.
I don't think so either. I'm not fighting with you there. I agree. I am not debating that it's going to happen.
Allen is as bad as the Bills Mafia is making him out to be.
He's bad. He's bad. From what I've seen in camp, Mikey.
He had 2 bad drops that killed drives, dude.
I agree. I never said the interception was his fault.
No, I'm not even talking about the interception.
Okay, but the rest of the stuff, I said I thought he had some good throws, but I also thought he did some really boneheaded passes, some bad decisions with this getting out of the pocket.
Go watch Sam Darnold's preseason game yesterday. It's not any better than Kyle Allen's.
There were some backups that looked pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie.
Against third and fourth teams, a lot of guys look super good against that.
That's my point. That's my point about Barkley.
Whitetown team comes in. Thank you for the super chat, brother. We appreciate it. We'll have to carry 3.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I agree with that too.
Carry 3 quarters. No,
No,
well, not only that, but with the depth that we have, if we carry 3 quarterbacks,
we're taking
a roster spot from somebody. It's not,
No, I agree.
I get what you're saying, Tommy. I do. Would I like to have a better backup quarterback? Yes, but Kyle Allen wasn't as bad as everyone's making him out to be.
If there's a competition with Matt Barkley, I do believe he's.
I don't think there truly is a competition with Matt Barkley. I think that's
Sean McDermott said so. I believe it, and I will tell you this: in this game coming up, Mikey, if you see Matt Barkley back up Allen to start, there's definitely 100% a competition for backup.
Well, we'll have to wait until this weekend to really.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But if that's not the case, then you are right. Then Kyle Allen will be the backup. But I will say, if Barkley's in there first, you definitely 1,000% have a competition. Okay. Because there's no reason why he would do that. Correct? If Barkley's in there after Allen. Okay.
No, I do agree with that.
Okay.
I have an Easy answer for you guys. You know who I'm reaching out to? 40-year-old Fitz Magic.
Yeah, baby, Fitz
Fitz
Magic.
Magic, 2 years removed, 40 years old.
Man,
Mikey,
he's
I'm
getting
joking,
paid.
Mikey.
Magic
I'm
has a
joking.
great gig at
Yeah,
Thursday
he
Night
ain't
Football.
going anywhere.
I know.
I would love it,
I'm
but
just
he
joking
ain't
with
going
Mikey.
anywhere. Yeah,
Tell him to come home and get his ring.
There you go.
Yeah,
There
he
you
ain't
go.
going
Right?
anywhere.
Get his ring.
Yeah, right. He
I
would
would
do it
text him
maybe
right
because
now.
he's that kind of a crazy guy. I could kind of see him doing it because he's that wild. But I don't think so. I think he's done. He's retired.
Yeah.
But Mikey,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. So Kyle Allen, like you said, I mean, we'll see what happens next week. But he's still. I mean, they've said it. He's still learning the playbook, like you said. So give him a little bit of a break there. And he made it. There was a Josh Allen-esque move. He got out of the pocket on one of the. He was getting pressure. Got out to the right. Was able to get the first down with his legs. And so, again, if none of these other things can happen, Mikey, I'm not ready to just. I mean, Allen, give him a little more time in with the number ones, because when they're in camp and all that, how many reps is he really getting with the number one? Not many. So now he'll have a chance. He'll get a chance in these next 2 preseason games. And as long as we can see improvement, gradual improvement, heck, we're going against the Steelers next week. And if we go against those number ones, well, that's going to be Allen in there. Supposedly, we're going to see Josh Allen. But, we'll see what he does in the next 2 weeks. And then I'll feel a little bit more comfortable. I didn't have it as an ugly. I had him as a question mark bad. I had him as a question mark.
I didn't even have him as bad. I just had him as a player.
I had a big question mark there.
Red, White, and Bills comes in and says you can carry 3 quarterbacks on game day and doesn't count as a roster spot. You're right, but he has to be on your 53-man roster. He's just not. He's no longer a game day inactive. You can't have a guy on your practice squad and call him up.
Correct. Yeah, I don't see that happening anyway. So
and no one's carrying 3 quarterbacks anymore.
But guys, let's just hope we never see the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
Josh has the longest starting streak in football right now. So
yeah, let's just hope we never have to see these guys unless we're totally blowing out a team and fine. Barkley could come in and do some handoffs, but I don't want to see either one. I wouldn't want to see anyone, even if it's the greatest backup quarterback in the NFL. I want Josh to be on the field, plain and simple, but you still have to have somewhat of a reliable backup quarterback. I just don't know if the Bills have that. And I know Barkley is a Bills Mafia favorite. And I got heat last year. Mikey remembers. I was like, oh my, this is before we got Keenum. I was like, Barkley cannot be the backup quarterback.
And then you saw Keenum and you wanted to throw him overboard too.
No, that's not true. At first, I was happy we got Keenum. I was like, all right, we got a reliable backup. But then when I saw Keenum, and was I wrong? He was terrible. He was awful.
I was like, you were not excited. You were not excited about Keenum because
I was more excited that he came over Barkley. 1,000%.
Your exact words to me for that was, "Is that really a high bar?" Because we were arguing over Bridgewater versus Keenum.
You're right, we were. They were both awful. So I don't know if either one of us won that because they were both awful last year. Yes, and Lions, boy, if he has to come in for a golf, they're going to learn their lesson mighty quick.
Yeah,
and Bridgewater, just like Keenum, is done. And it happens. It happens. Sometimes these guys just won't last long. They're not what they once were.
Be patient. I have a feeling you're going to see a better version of Kyle
I hope
Allen.
so. I do. I don't want any. Listen, just like Boogie Basham, I don't want anyone to fail, Mikey. Mm-hmm. You know that. I want all these guys to look good, and it come down to this. We have to cut somebody, but they all played excellent. But that's not how it works.
Yeah, you also have to remember Kyle Allen played 7 snaps with the starters, and then they pulled them. And the first team defense was still out there through,
I agree.
Like 3 series. So
I'm good with that.
And he did orchestrate, granted they were just handoffs, a touchdown.
Yeah. It was just hands off. So.
He did hit.
But he snapped the ball correctly and handed it off to go. So that was good. I will give him credit for that.
He did hit here in the stomach on a 3rd down that he dropped.
And he made some great. Listen, I think he made some really good throws as well. Like the throw to Shakir on the side, which I said the guy was draped all over. You have to have a good arm to do that. Barkley, see, that's the difference, guys. Barkley can't make that throw. For as much as you guys love Barkley, he is not making that throw to Shakir on his side there. That you have to have a good arm for that. Right. That's what I'm saying. Barkley's also not making the throw to Shakir where it's up. You know what I mean? He's not making that. Barkley, the way he throws is he likes to throw it a little bit high. They're a little bit floaters. Yeah, it's touch passes. Everything's a touch throw. Yeah, and it's not. It works sometimes, and sometimes it works against you. Yeah. And I can't trust Barkley for a whole 4 games with the way he throws. Now, we'll see. I don't know. Hopefully, I never see that. I don't want to see.
You're gonna see Kyle Allen, because I have a feeling Kyle Allen's gonna be QB2. You're gonna see Kyle Allen engineering mop-up duty when Josh is pulled in the
I'm good with that. I'm good.
You're gonna see him.
Mop-up duty, fine.
Kyle Allen's job isn't to be super good. Kyle Allen's job is to get Josh Allen ready, and there's nobody better than one of his best friends to help him get ready.
So right now, then, we are on the same page, at least, that QB2 is still a question mark.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. What other question mark do you have on this Buffalo? Okay, definitely. Mike, same? Middle linebacker?
Middle linebacker is the big one, for sure.
Okay, I think middle linebacker is bigger than QB2.
100%. Of course. 100%. Mikey, yes, I am on board. I can't even argue with that. There's a huge question mark there for middle line. Anything else I'm missing that you kind of are like,
not
comfortable with it?
Not from a question mark of concern. It's middle linebacker and QB2 are my questions of concern. I have questions about CB2 and right guard.
Yeah, CB2
and right guard. Granted, we have multiple people in those battles that can start and we'll be fine. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of who's gonna win the jobs.
Yeah. I believe Torrance will win
right tackle. Drake says right tackle. I'll tell you, after this last week against the starters, I thought Brown was fine. Shell played decent enough that I have less concern about right tackle as I did going into the week.
Now, next week, I think against a Pittsburgh defense,
TJ Watt coming off that side,
a better defense, a better coach team. You'll see really like what these players are about. I'm going to be honest with you. This is a perfect game, and I love it that we're going against Pittsburgh because this is a well-coached team, a good defense. Now you will see what these guys are all about. You'll see what Torrance is all about. You'll see what our defense is all about. Like, I think this is a perfect game for these guys to step up. So we'll see.
Yep.
All right. Anything else that I'm missing, Mike? Or anything else?
No, Mike. Tell the chat where they can find you.
Yeah, we're over at Nickel City Mafia. So on YouTube, Nickel City Mafia. Just if you love Bills football, which you all do, I see it in the chat, and I watched this show. And come on over there. We do similar things there. Just we go about 2 times a week. We're not going off as much as these 2 gentlemen are here, but we go on Wednesdays and Sundays, and sometimes you see us on various nights. But Nickel City Mafia, get on over, check us out. We'd love to have you. Thank you guys very much. I just wanted to say one last thing. We didn't talk much about the running backs. That was one of my goods.
Yo, go. We ain't done yet. Go for it, man. I haven't hit end broadcast. Go for it.
I'm just saying, we didn't talk about those running backs. That
Let's
was one of my goods.
Let's do it.
Look, Latavius Murray is legit. He's legit. He's big.
Thank you.
He can still run. He can catch the ball. I love it. He might be the best backup in the league. I'm just going to say that right now. You throw in Damian Harris coming back whenever he can. We know he has lingering injury issues throughout his career. I still think he makes the team as long as he gets back on the field here in the near future. But I love what I saw of the running backs. Cook's ready to cook, and Latavius Murray is that perfect complement to him. If those are our 1-2 starters day one. Love it.
Thank you very much. Finally, somebody's got a brain in here. I thought I was alone. I mean, my God.
Thank you for saying that about Murray. I've been on the Murray train since we signed him. Looking at his film from last year, I talked to Mikey once we did. I'm like, dude, this guy's he's pretty legit for his age. He doesn't look like he's slowed down much. He's relatively healthy in his career. He's
Yeah.
6'3". He's a bigger back. Harris was my big question mark. It wasn't even Murray. It was more about, can Harris stay healthy? And look, boom, already guys having a problem with his knee. But I thought, and by the way, Mikey, I don't know if you read, but Bill's Wire, which by the way, shout out to Bill's Wire. I love it. I get a lot of my info from there and do a lot of my videos because of them. But they had him on stock down. Very surprising that they had Murray at stock down. They didn't like his running. Murray stock down. There was the one guy I disagreed with on their list because they had stock up, stock down. I'm like, Murray they had down because they didn't feel like he ran particularly well. I thought he ran fine. You got to remember he was behind a different offensive line. He wasn't behind the first offensive line.
Yeah.
I'm like, German called him out as a positive in his press conference.
Yeah, so I was really, once again though, it's opinion, and they have the right to do that. But I felt like he ran the ball well. I felt like he caught the ball well. Man, I love what I see from Murray early on. I love what I saw from camp. He showed that week 1. He's reliable, and I think he's going to be I think he's going to be a big help for this offense. And me and Mikey's talked about it. The one thing Buffalo Bills have failed to do the last, I don't even know, many seasons, is having a bigger back in the short yardage and goal line situation to help out Josh, where Josh is not the focal point of every short yardage run or goal line situation. We're relying on Josh.
Fred,
right. The defense is exactly.
Since Fred and Carlos Williams.
Carlos
Williams came after Fred, right?
Yes,
so
he was the last bigger back, 6'2".
Williams was the last big back that we had, and
he was damn. Look at his rookie year. He's stand up. He actually ran like Murray, so he had a little bit of speed to him as well. I don't think he wasn't as fast as Murray, but he ran upward. But he was dynamic. I thought Carlos Williams' rookie year was. I really thought he was going to be one of those guys who were going to be here. And obviously he has some things going on, but Murray, like I said, man. I just feel like people are really overlooking him. I think this dude can be that guy that Buffalo has been missing. And this is no knock on Harris. If Harris comes back healthy, even better. Even better. Then you got 3-headed kind of monster there that you can work with. You can have both guys on the field at the same time. You don't know who's getting the ball there. Murray, Harris, I love it. Both can pass catch very well. So I'm excited. I love that the Bills picked up Murray. He ain't going anywhere. Mikey, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. Murray was fantastic. I thought James Cook looked really good, and in his opening, he ran
100%.
hard between the tackles, which was the concern Tommy had last year. He said he needed to see him get bigger and stronger, and he did throughout the year. And then he came in really patient. The thing about Murray that I love the most is he didn't get a ton of yards this week, but he always fell forward, which means in short yardage, you can bring him in and give him the ball so Josh doesn't have to QB sneak it all the time or run it on a quarterback sweep. You can give it to the big guy and let him go. So, no, I like what the running backs did. I didn't mention them because they didn't have a ton outside of the opening.
Right.
And then we went to the backups, and it was just like, hit and miss, and we didn't do a whole lot on offense. I felt like our defense was on the field mostly in the first half. Second half, our offense kind of showed up. But first half,
I agree.
I
think it was the game plan. I think it was a game plan, though. I think that early on, McDermott and Dorsey wanted to kind of showcase the run game, see what they got with the offensive line. You can kind of see that early on. And then they kind of went to pass a little bit more pass heavy later on in the game. By the way, Isabella's intriguing to me because what I saw from the receiving side of things, he wasn't bad. Like, I got to be honest with you. The route running was pretty crisp. He put on some good moves. The yards yards after catch was very good. I think he's an uphill battle, in my opinion, to make the team. But I got to say, it's all about preseason. This is what this is about. Can he shine? Can he continue that in week 2, week 3, and maybe force the Bills to keep 7?
Well, it's not even just keeping 7. It comes down to, is he going to win the returner's job? Because
that's true. You're right.
Because at the end of the day, if he wins the returner's job, it's coming down to between, Shorter and Shavers and Isabella, and those are the 3 that I pointed out that I thought really had a chance. And I think it's now after Shaver's up and down week, I think it really comes down to Isabella versus Shorter
and how much they love Shorter, right?
Well, I know they love Shorter, and I don't think we can get him on our practice squad. I really don't.
Yeah, I think it would be a mistake if he gets.
But it comes down to if they're going to use Andy as a punt returner, so they don't have to use Hardy back there, then he wins that job. If they don't, I think you can get Isabella on your practice squad and then call him up as you need him if something happens.
Yeah, I think Isabella winds up on the practice squad. I don't think anyone will pick him up. And if they do, they do. I don't think that's a huge loss. Yeah, and it's good for him. I don't, but it isn't something I'll be crying about. This isn't a player like Hodgins where we're like, damn, you never know, right?
Because he was just better than Kumaro, like all the
I agree. Once again,
Kumaro was a special teams guy.
Guy, right? And you know how McDermott is with that. So, any last words? We went on a little bit more, but anything else, Mikey?
This Friday, it'll be myself and Jarrett going live. Tommy will be on assignment at a wedding.
Yeah, I got a wedding to go to. So Friday, Jarrett and Mikey will be going live at 8:30. And then, by the way, guys, moving forward, for all you wrestling nerds out there, Nuclear Heatwave is going live at 7:30 moving forward. So 7:30 instead of 8:30. Just a heads up, so an hour early. And then also very soon is Mafia Means Family podcast. That's going to start up, I believe, September 2nd, I believe. And then also AFCE Shakedown starting, I think, 4th or something like that. So I'll give you the dates on that, but that's starting up soon. So we got a lot going on here on this channel. And then Mike, one more time, where can they find you?
Yeah, Nickel City Mafia. We have fantasy football kicking off tomorrow night. So if you're fantasy football, we have two of the best guys out there that talk fantasy football. They'll take your questions live. We do a little golf, but it's kind of, the end of the golf season. But mostly, we're all about the Bills. So come on over and join us. Nickel City Mafia. And thank you. Thank you guys again.
Thank you for coming. Wanted to thank Mike for joining us tonight and spending 2 hours with us.
Yeah, long show.
And Mike, hit me up. Let me know. We'll talk a little fantasy football.
Awesome.
That's right up my alley.
Love it.
All right, Bills Mafia, we love you. And as always, go Bills.
Go Bills.
We're out of here. Peace.
And look at him go. He could go all the way. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. The Bills make me wanna kick your heels up and